always like catching up with friends and find out what they were doing. So, Andy Thompson, head coach at Sacramento State, what'd you do over the weekend?
Oh, had a big weekend. Got to travel over, play a football game at Stanford. So,
because I was going to talk about my barbecue and stuff I did. So you had a football game. So how'd that go?
Football game went well. So it was good.
Andy, more than good. That was a major win for your program. A lot of folks go into these FCS against FBS, and hey, maybe we'll be scrappy and compete and get a check. But I felt like the whole week and talking to folks around the program, hey, this wasn't going to be a shocker if you won the game. You were going there to win.
Yeah, I think you, as a competitor, you want to do that every time you go out on the field. I do think we wanted to improve. I think we did that in some regards as a football team from the first 2 weeks. I thought we really had some adversity in the game, and we came back and handled it really well, especially in the first half. Getting down, we didn't want to get down 14-3, but guys stayed with it and kept battling and got to the fourth quarter and made some plays. So it was a really close ball game. Stanford's really well coached. They do a great job, and to come out with a win was a good way to end our non-conference. So
Stanford came out, Andy, with a 13-play drive that ran it 12 times, and really you kind of ran it down your throat in between the tackles. Mm-hmm. What kind of adjustment did you make in their run game as it progressed?
I came out with a formation we hadn't seen in a little while. Actually, the last team that did a ton of that was when we played at Cal a couple of years ago. They had 3 tight ends on the line and lined up, and as coaches, we had to make sure our guys knew where to fit and where to go, and then just some of the communication with the tempo when they were running. We got them into a couple of third downs, and they converted. So it was kind of a combination of things. From a coaching standpoint, I think the players also kind of settled down and tackled better after that series. But, it was a few things, wrinkles in the game plan. And Coach Taylor did a good job of coming out with a few things that we weren't prepared for. And once we got it settled down, kids played well.
Couldn't have been prepared for that onside kick. You're down 14-3. They get the ball. They're on the verge of going up 21-3. And, hey, maybe the level of confidence is shaken a little bit. And I think at this point, maybe the biggest play of the game was the Caleb Nelson interception off the deflection.
Yeah, it was a really nice play by him. Kylan Ross actually, missed it. It's pretty close to him making the interception. But all the guys on that play had to do their job. Armon Bailey, if you showed the clip, was walling off the number 3 receiver that was going behind. It was a good rush by Jet Stanley, who played really well in the game, 3 sacks. And so it was a good rush, good coverage. And at that moment, it gave us some momentum to get back in the game instead of going down 21-3.
What does a play like that do for the spirit of the sideline? Can you feel the energy shift when something like that happens?
Yeah, anytime you get a takeaway, and especially down there close, it does. It gives your whole sideline a bolt of energy. And on offense, I know after that possession, we started executing at an even higher level and went down and scored and made some plays. And so, it gave our team some energy that we needed. And that's how you got to do it as a team. It's truly a team game. Special teams, defense, offense have to be able to answer when one of the sides of the ball does something well.
Not just that you scored on the next position, but how you scored. You get close and you pull something out of the bag with a trick play, flip, and then ETT cashing in.
Yeah, Chris Richardson gets a lot of props for that. He does our short yardage goal line, and that's a pretty familiar play in high school football, but not many colleges run it, and it was very well designed. The players did a great job of executing it, kind of caught them off guard a little bit and got a touchdown. So great job by the offensive staff and the players executing.
And you get a quarterback run to close out the half, and hey, now we're not just competing. You got a shot to win. And I saw the players walking off, or actually running off, skipping off to the locker room while the Stanford guys were kind of walking with their heads down. Definitely a different spirit as you went into each locker room.
Yeah, we talked about that before the game, is finishing the half strong. That's something, we haven't done really in the first half of ball games. Nichols scored right before the half, and then Texas A&M Commerce actually had an interception right before the half and went down and scored. And so we hadn't done a great job of that. That was kind of a point of emphasis, is to try to get some momentum going in the locker room, and then obviously trying to finish the game in the fourth quarter. So trying to finish both halves was an emphasis, and the players did a nice job of that. And you could feel some momentum scoring before the half there.
Yeah, knockdown, drag out in the second half. And you had a point, you had a big decision to make, whether, hey, we're going to kick a field goal for the tie or go for the lead. What are those discussions like with you and Bobby Frescas? Because I know I'm with Jason Ross on the radio booth, and he's pointing, go for it. I say, hey, they're going to go for it, and you opted to kick it. So what were the things you were weighing right there?
A couple things. We had worked pretty hard to get down there, but they'd stuffed us a little bit on been real close when it was anything other than 3rd and 1, and it was kind of a longer 2, and so percentage-wise, making that play in that situation, I thought it would really, if we got points out of that drive because we had moved the ball down there, I thought we could play good defense and we would get the ball back to our offense with plenty of time in the game. What I didn't want to do is put it all on that play, and then you're playing from behind, and then you're having to use your timeouts to stop the clock, and they're running the ball, and then, those are, I had about probably 10 seconds to make that decision, and went with the field goal. But, the great thing is our field goal kicker was ready to go, and that was his longest field goal of his career, 44 yards, and he did an outstanding job of executing and giving us a chance to tie it up, and again, keep that momentum that you were talking about going at that point of the football game.
We were talking prior to the A&M Commerce game about field goal range. You go, hey, Dave, I think it's 46, 47. So you're right there on the edge, and he didn't make it by much.
No, he didn't, but it counts all the same.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been real smooth. It gave me confidence earlier in the game that he made 2 other ones. That was his 3rd field goal of the night, and it was kind of that way in the ball game. They were very stout up front too. And so, at that point, they'd seen a lot of the plays that we'd already run in short yardage situations compared to early in the game where we went for it on a 4th and 3, and Kaiden made a nice play to scramble and get the ball to Gandy. So there was a lot of things that go into that. And analytics can help with that. And I do study some of the analytics part of the game and what you're doing. But I also try to have a feel for what's best for our team at that spot.
And you get a play. I'm sure it's exactly the way you drew it up on the sideline for the game winner. Right? I mean, just the way you thought, hey, maybe we'll flush the quarterback out and then flip it and come up with a miracle with Fulcher running down the sideline. What was it like for you to watch that firsthand?
I've seen that quite a few times in practice with Kaiden. I've been on the other side of it, kind of pulling my hair out as the defensive coordinator when he would run around and you think you have him, and then he makes an unbelievable play. We practice 2-minute every Wednesday, and we've gone back and forth with offense and defense. And so I really am not surprised when he starts to move in the pocket. It's tough on a defense to be able to make sure all the eligible receivers are covered. And he made a great play. And then Fulcher has just been outstanding for us with his effort, his ability to catch the ball, his ability to run after he catches it. He made a big-time play in the Nichols game down there on 3rd and 11, and he got the first down. Or actually got us to 4th and 1, and then we went for it in the game. So he's done it all year for us. He's a great threat, throwing, catching. He's a punt returner too. And those guys made a great play. So definitely not how we drew it up, but I have definitely seen Kaiden do it quite a bit in practice.
Oh, I want to give Fulcher a shout out in a lot of areas. I know as a coach, you appreciate this stuff. He had a great pass protection at Nichols that allowed a touchdown. Mm-hmm. And then against Commerce, he ran down a guy after an interception. So I know people get hung up on the yards and the things that are spectacular, but those are the little things that I'm sure coaches notice in film that set examples for the rest of the guys on the team.
Yeah, we talk about them as details, because if you don't have detail in what you're doing, it's tough to execute. And he's done a great job of that in every phase. You're right. He had some great blocks in the game. If you would go back and watch the film and his pass blocking, he ran the ball tough. He ran over the safety to start the half that got just a ton of momentum going for our team. He's been a constant worker, and I'm really glad that he's getting the reward, because he worked extremely hard this offseason, and he's playing at a really high level.
And fittingly enough, after getting kind of pushed over at the beginning of the game, was your defense that sealed the deal, as they really brought the heat late in the game. And, of course, the coverage doing its thing on that 4th and long. Incomplete, and from that point, victory formation and a win in a place that seemed like a home game. I mean, we saw these fans reacting, and I know I asked you the other day, I said, hey, could you feel the energy of those fans from Sacramento? He said, absolutely. I mean, they're chanting defense, and they were a big part of that win.
Yeah, really appreciate all the support we've gotten. And it starts with our president, Dr. Wood. And he was there at the game, and he's made it a big effort with the campus to support not only just the football program, but all of athletics. And it's a great vibe on our campus right now and in our community. And it was huge on Saturday, especially at the end of the game when they're chanting defense, to try to get a stop at the end. And the place was electric. And there was a lot of alumni there. It was awesome to see some of my former players that have been on Hornet football teams. They were in the front row yelling and screaming as fans. So pretty cool to see all of the support for this team, and well-deserved with these guys because they put in a lot of work, and the Saturdays are for them.
You're right about the families. I saw Abel Ordaz in the parking lot and hung out with him for a little bit as well. So
yeah, there was a bunch of them.
Pretty cool. Hey, what's this been like for you? You have 3 games now as a head coach, all those years as a coordinator. You work with some really good ones, obviously, Coach Taylor and Drum Sowers. I know you mentioned Rocky Long, San Diego State. Now that you finally get to sit in the big boys chair, what's this been like for you, and what more do you have to learn?
Oh, I have a lot to learn. Every day I learn something new. There's a lot more of this. There wasn't nearly as many interviews or, a lot more cameras. But behind the scenes, every day is trying to stay on a routine because you are responsible for more things. And that's been the biggest challenge, is making sure I am the head coach and I'm here for everybody in the program, not just one side of the ball as I was before. It's been very, very rewarding to be around so many great people that are trying to help you. And our staff has been awesome. We hired some new guys. They've been great. The guys that were here, the bond that we have and we share is very strong. And then just working for a guy like Mark Orr, who's been there to help me through everything as an athletic director. So I don't feel like I'm doing this alone. I definitely, on game day, it's a little different, making adjustments. I normally be standing back there with my back turned to the offense and not know what was going on. And now I'm with the offense and I'm on the headset and making some decisions with that. So definitely a lot different, but I'm really enjoying it and lucky to be surrounded by so many good people.
You're coming off obviously the huge win and maybe the biggest in school history in terms of non-conference. You got to turn the page and get to Big Sky play. And certainly there's no chance of overlooking an opponent because Idaho is a heck of a football team.
Yeah, really strong. I think in most polls that you would see, they're in the top 10 in the country. They got picked by the media as the number 2 team in the Big Sky. I think we were below them. So they have a lot of guys coming back in the skill positions that are a great challenge. They've got a tremendous quarterback, got a tremendous defense. They've been playing really good defense. They were leading at Cal 17-0 just on Saturday. Before that, they beat Nevada 33-6. So very good opponent. Our guys will be. I've already watched them. We already had a meeting yesterday and kind of turned the page on going from Stanford and now into our Big Sky Conference home opener, or not home opener, but Big Sky first road game. And guys will be ready. They're excited to play a good football team, and it'll be easy because I'm sure it'll be a full house in the Kibbe Dome, and it'll be a great atmosphere for college football.
You're pretty good at this. We'll have to do it again.
Appreciate it. I don't know about that, but thank you very much. Thank you for your coverage. You do a great job, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks a lot, Andy. Andy Thompson, head coach of the Sacramento State Hornets, coming off the great win over Stanford. Appreciate you.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you taking the time. You can subscribe to the Dave Lewis Show, the audio version on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast. Your 5-star reviews, the comments are huge, helps out in such a big way. I really appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll talk to you next time.